Hi, and welcome to the fourth week of Carousel Theater's Playwright Project World Premieres. My name is Alex Lindsley, and I am a board member for Carousel, as well as our publicity chair. I am joined today with John Claes, the writer for our fourth premiere this summer, Prayer for the Lost and Found. Welcome, John.
Welcome. Thank you very much for
Hi.
having me.
Thank you for coming out. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So I've been on the board off and on for the last dozen or 15 years with the Ankeny Community Theater. I live in Johnston. Very involved. I've been involved with, I don't know, probably close to 30 plays at the Ankeny Community Theater, and certainly appreciate all the great work that's available in the metro area. I've seen shows at Carousel. And you know, Alex, it was at the Chloris Awards this last fall where each of the local theaters got a chance to kind of spotlight their programming. Whoever the representative was on that program mentioned this playwriting project coming up with Carousel, and I signed up for it, and I was pleased to be accepted into the program. So I have actually, most of my work with the Ankeny Theater and other theaters in general has been as a performer, but I found a knack for writing and a love for it in the last few years. So that's what got me involved in this project, and specifically with this one at Carousel.
Wow, that's really cool. I was actually the presenter for that
You know, I
Chloris
was going to
Award
say, was
program.
that you? But it's been
That
so,
was
I've
me.
slept since then, Alex. So anyway, so I want to thank you for getting me involved in this project.
Yeah, of course. Well, then you said that you've kind of started up picking up writing a little bit in the last couple years. Is this the first like official full thing that you've written, or have you written anything else?
I wrote a one-act comedy that the Ankeny Community Theater produced in February of 2019 or 2020, just before the pandemic. So we just squeezed
Wow.
that in. Shortly after that, I participated in a virtual class on writing a play, and I wrote another one-act play that Ankeny is going to be producing this summer. And then I really love what attracted to me. This is I like to write, but I need the discipline of
Mm,
deadlines. And okay, this week David said we're going to work on this, so it forced me to get into the habit of writing, and that was pretty necessary for me. Otherwise, I don't know that I'd get anything finished. But so this is actually A Prayer for the Lost and Found is the third play I've written in the last couple of years. So
wow, that's
I,
impressive.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. Okay, so you kind of already talked about your a little bit of your experience here with the Playwright Project, but also working with David Dubček, the facilitator for the project. Walk us through what was your general experience in your process of coming up with your show and then figuring out where you wanted it to go and like the storytelling aspect.
You know, when you're introduced to this project, and when David said, okay, when this project's done, we will all have written, either we will collaborate together on a project, a play, and we decided very early on that each one of us would write our own short play. And actually, we were asked at our second class to present some ideas to the others in our class. So Randy,
Hmm.
Joan, Mike, and Karen, who I enjoyed meeting virtually in this project. And actually, Alex, I dusted off an idea of it was a short play I wrote when I was in 10th grade.
Hmm.
And it
Wow.
was about the dynamics within this family, somewhat disrupted with a father and son, and then a grandfather moving into the household, and kind of the way that dynamic kind of turned the familial relationships kind of on its head a little bit. So it was an idea I had. It was just maybe a 2 or 3 page treatment I did back in high school, and I thought there's more to that. And I thought one of these days I'm going to write a more full-length play, and it's not even there yet, Alex. It's just a little short act, a short one act for the project here, but one day it's going to be a bigger 2 act play. I just know it. It just may take me
Oh
10 more
yeah.
years. I don't know.
Well, when you eventually make it onto the Great White Way and you're accepting your Tony Award, just
I'll
remember us
remember
here
you
at
guys.
Carousel.
That's right, of course.
All right, so you've kind of talked about how your inspiration comes from this play that you kind of came up with and sort of started working on in 10th grade. Are there specific inspirations for the family members in this play? Are they like inspired by people in your life or anything like that?
You know, I think back to when I was in high school, and I cannot say that it did.
Hmm.
But it was so great to bring the idea to our second class and then have everyone in the class saying, well, why don't you try this? Why don't we say that the grandfather has moved in because of an illness? And I thought, well, I hadn't thought about that. And so there's such camaraderie, there's such great ideas from one another. So a lot of the great ideas I got from the other members of this class that helped me move the plot along and the characters along. There's things I hadn't even envisioned when I first conceived this, or even early on in the process. What I love about writing, Alex, I find, just like I would like to think when you are reading a book or attending a performance, what keeps you intrigued is what's going to happen next. You know, you want to be surprised. Well, I find when I write, I can't wait to start writing or continue writing, because sometimes I don't know what's going to happen next until I start developing that at the keyboard. And I found that with being the process here. Midway through, I thought I'm going to add a character, or I'm going to change this, through suggestions from some of my classmates that really influenced um, the outcome. Um, I just love the process. I just love, as much as I've enjoyed performing for most of my life on a theater stage, I think I found my true call and my real love, and that's writing, creating art that you can see other people perform, which is just thrilling.
Okay, so you've talked about how you've had experience on the stage and that kind of thing, and then obviously we're writing plays, so we're experiencing dialogue and we're writing something to be presented in a
Right.
physical space. Would you say your experience as an actor has affected your writing process and how you approach telling a story that way?
Yes, and not only do I think of it in terms of I want the parts that I write to be interesting, even if it's a small part. I want it to be worthwhile for the performer, because I've had large roles in productions, and I've had small roles, and I know every role is important. No role is thrown in there just because to fill the stage with another body. So I want to give everyone a real significance in that part. And I find, as in my writing, and I haven't done much directing, Alex. I've directed some of the other show I did before, but I find myself, I write for a director as well. So I want to, and I was asking David one time if this was a bad thing. I write stage directions into my play, and I'm thinking maybe that's insulting a director who says, John, I think I know what I'm doing. That's nice of you to suggest that, but your job was to write the darn thing. My job is to bring it to life. So I find myself writing um, very much with the actors in mind, as well as the directors, that I hope one day will direct a show. And I'm delighted that David Felton has accepted this one to direct my show
Yeah.
coming up soon, and I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, it's really exciting. So, obviously, COVID has presented a lot of really interesting obstacles, but also some opportunities for us in this new project. Carousel
Right.
established it early on when we realized we'd have to cancel our whole season,
Right.
but we wanted to provide opportunity to people. How would you say living in a world affected by COVID-19 affected your writing and how you approach the project, or even just in general the class setting of the whole experience?
Well, I would say one thing. I probably it would have been. It's certainly easier to participate in this class, find classroom. I can call it a classroom opportunities like this. Um, I think some of these opportunities presented itself because of the pandemic.
Mhm.
Um, had we been business as usual, we would be doing main stage productions, and no one would have said, "Hey, let's do an online playwriting class." So really, had that not happened, I just wouldn't have continued with something that I've enjoyed very much. And we knew very from the very start that these were going to be small productions that we hope might be produced, maybe by Carousel, but that wasn't even a guarantee when we started the class. So I
Mhm.
can speak on behalf of everyone in the class when the Carousel board said we're going to produce each of these 5 plays. That was, we're all rooting for each other, and I can't wait to see all 5 of them, because it's almost like you've lived through the pregnancy, you know, and now we're going to
Mhm.
be in the delivery room when these things are presented to the public starting in July. So I'm going to be tuned in every Friday night to catch the premiere of each one of these shows. I can't wait.
Yeah. So I noticed in the show, and I wonder if this was maybe affected by COVID, but throughout all the shows, there's kind of a general theme of like loss and dealing with different forms of loss and how they come across our lives in different ways. Was that like a collective decision between all of you, or was that just something that you happened to stumble upon?
You know, it didn't even occur to me until when we were seeing each of the productions then being read to us in a virtual way by actors. Um, some of those similarities didn't even pop up, and I don't want to spoil anything, but there are certain things that made my production, my play, so much similar to the others, but at the same time, something that made it uniquely different compared to the others. Um, one of the plays in the early stages was almost written in during a pandemic, and it's hard not to think about that, and it's hard not to be have that influence your writing. So
Mhm.
it didn't influence mine, but maybe you've got a point there, Alex. You know, maybe there's something. You know, nobody. The other two plays I've written, Alex, are comedies, and I think I have a knack for that. But other than being some light moments in each of our productions, no one took a stab at a comedy, and um, they're both hard to write. Dramas and comedies alike are difficult to write, but we
They
just had
are.
such great support for one another, and I've just been thrilled with the results, or what I know will be the results anyway. So
Oh, I'm sure it'll be spectacular. We just wrapped the filming process of the shows this week. So we're
right,
diving into the post production going on. And then obviously we're doing these interviews to be premiered following, immediately preceding the premieres for each of your shows. So
right.
I personally am incredibly excited to see all the hard work that you guys have put in and all the hard work that our directors and actors have put in to bring this exciting new creative venture for Carousel to life. Thank you, John, so much for joining me today and
Thank you.
taking part in our brand new creative project, the Carousel, the Playwright Project, presented by Carousel Theater. Again, John's play premieres this Friday at 7 p.m. It is Prayer for the Lost and Found. And thank you for joining me. Thank you.